Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Cedar Lake Speedway as it plays host to the 7th race of the 3rd season of the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. Double points here tonight as it's the midway portion on the schedule. Could be a huge difference maker down the home stretch heading towards the championship weekend. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Anthony McCurry. Anthony here tonight. A lot of space for these guys at this 5/8 of a mile clay short track, but lot of our championship hopefuls here tonight. Is this the make it or break it race, do you think, for some of these guys?
We're coming into halfway through the season, and this will set up the second half pretty well for some of these drivers. Other drivers might be looking to try and capitalize on the fact that this is double points if they're a little bit further back in the standings to try and get towards the front of the championship so they can have a run going down the home stretch. But tonight, one of the shorter tracks that we're going to go to on the circuit, but as you alluded to, it is nice and wide here, so you can spread them out a little bit. We saw during practice, everyone, again, trying to run the outside line. It's been a theme at these tracks this season, so I have to see who can manage the area of surface that they can have the best, because as the run goes on, it definitely gets harder to pin down to the inside and make passes.
Now, most of our races this season have been 35 laps in length. With the double points on the line here tonight, it will be a 75-lapper for these drivers. Heat number 1 going to be Ethan Fisher on the pole position alongside of Jason Freeman. James Boniface, who's right up there in the hunt for that points lead. He's going to start 3rd with Brian Rubel in 4th. Grant Wesley and Garrett Gleason are going to be 5th and 6th as 10-lap shootout here for the first heat.
And already we're seeing Fisher try to get out to a lead. Freeman and Boniface were in a battle right now for second place. However, it does go to Freeman as he gets to the inside line, tries to make a move up the inside on Fisher, but the outside line just too strong. We see Fisher trying to squeeze it around, although that being said, Freeman almost got a piece of it, but he did get contact. He's going to lose second place.
And a big slide there for Jason Freeman as he is going to drop back to 3rd position. Boniface on the charge. He got around Freeman. He now tries to get Ethan Fisher, clears him before they even got to the corner.
Fisher trying the inside line to try and do what Boniface did to make the lead, but not to any avail at the moment as someone goes way wide at the racetrack. I think that was Grant Wesley rim riding around the outside. He's going to go to the outside of the 4 of Rubel, and now not quite clear, but showing some strong.
Kind of interesting. Grant Wesley doing some experimentation with the top side again here in this heat. We saw him do the same thing in his heat 1 week ago when we were at Eldora Speedway. So maybe trying to get a little bit of an edge on the rest of the drivers on what that top side is going to be able to do with the premium grip. You also see Brian Rubel back there in the 5th position trying to do the same but not running nearly as high. And James Boniface, again, talked about him coming into this race still in the hunt for that championship. 55 points out, 3 wins on the season, including the last 2 weeks, and trying now to rack up the bonus points here with these heat victories to close the gap up even more.
And another driver that's trying to close the gap to get to the front of the standings is going to be Jason Freeman. He comes into this race 5th in the standings, quite a few points behind, but again, with it being double points, if one of these drivers that are running in the top 5 in standings have problems, then he could capitalize and all of a sudden find himself being up in the points battle.
At double points, a lot can change in the course of this race for sure. Heading into the second half of the season, we're riding on board here with Jason Freeman. I mean, just look how much load there is going into the corner. You've almost literally got the car at a 45-degree angle there, leaning to the right, and you can definitely see the hand motion there, trying to keep the car underneath as they head through these very slippery turns. James Boniface, though, he's going to pick up a heat victory. He'll cross the line and win heat number 1. Fisher in 2nd. Freeman, Wesley, and Rubel will complete the top 5. They will get points here in this heat. Garrett Gleason is going to finish in the 6th position, and more than likely that will mean he'll be starting up towards the front for the upcoming main event. Sets us up now for heat number 2.
Heat 2 will feature a load of drivers as well, and some of these drivers are pretty high in the standings. We've got such drivers as John Cannizzaro, Bobby Trapper. They'll be in this field, as well as Lupe Gonzalez, Tony Lucarelli, and Bobby Puckett. Those are the drivers that will start Heat 3. And for Bobby Trapper, really coming into this race, he's just got to maintain his points lead because he's got a few drivers right behind him, such as 2nd in the standings, Cannizzaro, which is also in this heat. Cannizzaro comes in this race 27 points behind the leader, and I don't think Bobby Trapper is going to make the start.
And it would appear that is the case. So that is huge, especially in the fact that In the last couple of weeks, yes, Bobby Trapper did not find victory lane in the main events, but he did really well in his heat races. There was a point about 3-4 weeks ago where John Cannizzaro had, I think it was 6, 7, 8, something like that, more bonus points than Bobby Trapper. Heading into tonight, Cannizzaro had 30 bonus points, Trapper had 27, so he had definitely closed that margin down in terms of the bonus points handed out between those two. But to your point, with him not taking the green here in this heat race, he's giving up a lot of bonus points to Cannizzaro, depending on where Cannizzaro finishes this heat.
Double points does not only apply to the main race, it also applies to these heats. So to Seth's point, that is going to be a pretty big hit in the standings, because if he wins tonight, he could close the gap up to within a few points, given the fact that it's double points. 4 cars will take the green. Gonzalez will get us underway, but Lucarelli on the outside has other ideas. He's trying to wrap around the outside. Trapper has gotten on track, although he's going to be very far behind, but he has made it onto the circuit as Lucarelli tries to hold it around the outside, but Gonzalez on the inside with a challenge.
Saw Trapper back there, so he is still on the lead lap here. He has a chance if trouble breaks out ahead to pick up some spots, and it nearly happened right there for the race lead. Gonzalez and Lucarelli getting into each other. Cannizzaro had to check up, and that actually hurts Cannizzaro because he, right at the moment, would only be 1 position ahead of Trapper. 4th and 5th is where those guys are.
The 3 in front of Cannizzaro continue to battle as Puckett now tries to go to the inside of Lucarelli. The inside line has got more strength than I initially thought it would, but have to see how long that continues on as the outside line. Again, once the run goes on, and we've seen throughout the first heat how the track conditions have changed into heat 2, everyone around the outside line now can get the power down and keep the power down. Everyone on the inside slides up the racetrack and loses momentum out of the corners. So having that being said, it does seem that these drivers will try to migrate to the outside line at some point throughout the main event race, but Puckett, I say that, on the outside line, I don't think he's been able to hold ground with Lucarelli. Lucarelli has been able to keep his distance to Bobby Puckett.
Gonzaro got to the inside of Lupe Gonzalez, moved to 3rd, then jumped up to the top. Lupe Gonzalez seeing the lane open on the bottom, now back alongside for the 3rd position. Looks like Cannizzaro may take it here off of turn 2 and clear for the spot as Lucarelli continues to run that inside line. Bobby Puckett maybe just going up there to that middle line out of necessity, trying to find something, because obviously I think the lane he wants to run, there's already a car there. 2 more laps this next time by.
And Cannizzaro on the inside trying to catch up, trying to get around for 2nd place. 1 lap to make that 2 laps to go now. Trying to get to the inside line, and someone up the top, I think that was Gonzalez, that washed up the racetrack, almost got a piece of the wall, comes back down on the racetrack to the inside, goes Cannizzaro. Can he make the pass down on Puckett? 1 lap to go in heat 2.
Not sure what the circumstances were, obviously, with Bobby Trapper not being able to take the green flag with the rest of these guys way back there, but the last couple of laps, he's been the fastest car on track. Don't know if that's because he had no traffic to deal with, or the fact that car is just plain fast. He's going to be finishing in the 5th position, though, as he was not able to catch any of these other guys. Lucarelli is going to take the checkered flag and pick up this heat win. Puckett will finish 2nd. Cannizzaro will be 3rd, followed by Lupe Gonzalez, and Trapper will finish in the 5th position. Small field here tonight, as those are the only 2 heats we're going to be having here this evening, and now getting set here for our 75-lap main event.
75 laps around this very tight technical course. Again, if you're new to this series, caution laps will not count. We will get 75 laps of green flag racing. And the fact that there are only 11 drivers on the field, we might see the race get a bit spread out. Although if you've been watching the series for a while now, you'll know that these drivers, when they get into these long runs, things start happening in the midfield, and we could see a lot of cars and a lot of battling, especially given the fact that it's so hard to make passes at this racetrack until the track comes into play. And of course, we've got the points battle. We've got Bobby Trapper coming in as the points leader. We've got John Cannizzaro coming in as 2nd place. And if I'm looking at it correctly, both of them will be starting. Well, actually, Bobby Trapper, because of his poor finish in this heat, will be starting on the 1st row of the grid. So great news for Trapper. He's got a fast car. We'll have to see if he can utilize that from starting up front.
Yeah, obviously would have loved to have had those bonus points from his heat race, but a bit of a silver lining in that cloud with good starting track position. Actually, he's going to be on the outside of the now new interim pole sitter, which will be Brian Rubel. Garrett Gleason was supposed to be the pole sitter, but he did not get onto the grid, so Rubel's actually going to be the pole sitter. Trapper will line up to his outside. Lupe Gonzalez will then be lined up alongside of Grant Wesley in row 2. Jason Freeman moves up a spot. He'll be starting 5th alongside John Cannonzaro. Ethan Fisher up to 7th alongside of Bobby Puckett. Lucarelli will move up. He will start this race in the 8th position, and 9th position. And James Boniface will be starting this race in 10th. 10 drivers to take this green flag, and just a little bit of a nugget there for anybody that might be wondering. This was not a track that Bobby Trapper took a checkered flag at last season. It was the only time it was run, did not get run back in season 1. Trapper finished 5th here 1 year ago. It was actually Nicholas Chambrone who won in his debut 1 season ago.
Green flag out in the air, and everyone 4 wide behind at the back of the pack between Puckett, Fisher, Lucarelli, and the rest. As at the front, Brian Rubel on the inside line is going to get the advantage early. To the outside goes Trapper, and it's hard to tell which line has the preferred method right now because by the time they get to the turns, they're almost dead even going through the back straightaway down into turn 3 and 4. Rubel on the inside with the advantage, Trapper on the outside with the run, and he's got Grant Wesley coming with him.
Saw Wesley in his heat going high, wide, and handsome there, and he might know something these guys don't about the grip up on that top side early on in this one. He looks to shoot up the middle 3 wide. He was to the left rear quarter panel to 69 for a brief moment. Now tucks back in line. He and Trapper will clear Brian Rubel around the top side. Now they'll head for 3.
Trapper heads to the inside line to try the cutback on to Grant Wesley. We'll get in front of the 88. Here comes Brian Rubel now trying to find grip where he can throughout the middle of the racetrack, but Grant Wesley hounding the back end of the 69. They're running identical lines. I want to imagine that these cars are pretty much set up identically, and it's fun to watch them try to mirror each other, especially Grant Wesley trying to mirror Trapper. They're checking out from 3rd place, which is now under fire from Freeman and Cannonzaro in a 3 wide situation.
It was 3 wide once a couple of turns ago. It's 3 wide again coming off of turn number 4. Cannonzaro way down the bottom. You got to be careful down there because there is a bit of a boundary area with tires sticking out of the dirt there. You don't want to have your tire hook that one of those tires and rip the machine apart. They're going to make their way around Brian Rubel, Will Freeman, and Cannonzaro. Whoa! Way up the track goes Jason Freeman, opening up the door for the 3 to move to P3. As we got a couple of cars around in the back, Ethan Fisher and Bobby Puckett have made some contact, and the caution will fly for the first time tonight.
Track out blocked up on the back straightaway, and enough to bring out a yellow, as I think that Ethan Fisher was the only one that went around. Bobby Puckett might have also been facing the wrong direction, as I think it was just getting the outside retaining wall, and I mean they were stacked up. It was about 4 wide coming out of the turn, and it was Puckett, the initial driver, that went around.
See Lupe Gonzalez and Ethan Fisher both getting involved. Let's jump up to the 40 machine and see what exactly happened with him to have him facing the wrong direction on, I believe that was the back straightaway. Maybe a little contact with Brian Rubel. Yes, it looks like it.
Just the slightest bit of contact, and then I think he got hooked on the outside wall and just never really was able to get off of it. And Ethan Fisher, just an innocent bystander, couldn't get on the brakes in enough time, and even if he did, I don't think the car would have come to a complete stop before he running into the 40.
Yeah, from that first initial camera angle, I thought that the 35 Lupe Gonzalez got a piece of it, but he did not. And so he was able to skate through undamaged. See about the damage there on the front end of Ethan Fisher. Obviously, we've hammered this home during the course of the season. No fast repairs for these drivers this year. Any damage they get, even as early as lap 1, they got to deal with for the remainder of this thing. And how about we go 3 wide for 2nd place here on the restart?
Almost made it work, and it settles itself out to 2 wide racing as Wesley gets away. Freeman on the inside now, and now Cannonzaro has made his way up to the outside, now cuts back down to the inside to try to make the pass on the 20. And something that was happening before the caution came out was Grant Wesley was having a go at Bobby Trapper and is still having one right up the inside of the racetrack trying to get around, but we saw almost a battle for the lead, almost a change for the lead, where Wesley had the edge ever so slightly, and then Trapper was able to get the run. So keep an eye on these two. They're running identical lines, but the 88 does seem to be a little bit faster in the early stage. We might be able to see a battle for the lead, and we had some contact happen earlier in the season, not between these two, but there's another pair of leading cars that had contact happen a few weeks ago. That ended up having them get shuffled to the back. They finished mid-pack, and the 3rd place driver was able to capitalize. So we could see lightning strike twice here tonight.
talk about Trapper and Wesley running identical lines. It almost makes me wonder, if you're Wesley, where can you make a move to make a pass? Because they're both entering super low, heading into the corner, then letting their machine slide way up to the outside line that's kind of diamonding the corner there. Obviously, if Wesley wants to make a pass on the inside, he'd have to try and pull a slide job. That lane is taken away on entry, as there's some contact off before between the two. And then if you're trying to swing around the outside, the 69 slides up there to the outside wall through the center of the corner, taking away that lane.
Here comes Freeman into the mix, trying to make it a 3-car fight for the first place position. He's right up to the back end of Wesley. And now Jason Freeman comes into this race 5th place in the standings. We were talking about how he could be a huge benefactor of the fact that this is a double points race. He is going to jump up significantly if the finishing order remains the same. However, Grant Wesley would also jump up quite a bit. He's 4th in the standings right now, and he's looking at it now, he's 73 points back behind the leader. So this could benefit him as well, but they all have to hope that Bobby Trapper has some sort of an issue, because right now, the way it stands, Trapper would run away with the points lead if they finish the way they are right now, with Canonzaro being in 4th.
Wesley continues to hound Trapper for the race lead. Got a battle back here between a couple of drivers, 2nd and 3rd in the points. John Canonzaro right now 4th on the grid, and James Boniface looking to his inside. James Boniface looking to go 3 in a row and pick up his 4th win in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a tear right now. Has the 113, or made that the 213 machine. And I gotta admit that he's been doing it in pretty dominating fashion as well, although tonight he's not been able to get to the front of the field as quickly as we thought he would. He did have a great run at Eldora as well, so coming off the heels of that, trying to make it again a win, so I have to watch out for James Boniface. He comes into this race 3rd in the standings. Right now he's got a little bit of catching up to do if he wants to get up into the top 3, as he's about a second back to 3rd place.
And of course, with case tonight, double points at Cedar Lake. There's a lot of drivers that you might initially look at the point stands and think, well, it doesn't look like they're going to have a shot. Look at the guy like Grant Wesley, who's 4th in the point stands coming to this one. He's a total of 73 points back coming into tonight. Yeah, if it were single points, then yeah, it looks like it's a big mountain to climb. But right now, hounding Bobby Trapper, trying to pick up the victory. If he's able to close out the deal, that's a huge chunk of points that he's able to eat into the points lead of the 69.
And he's just trying to run into 2nd place. You know he wants to get a win, and I think that if you're going to make the pass, you're going to have to force an error on the 69 to get him out of the way, because once the track has worn down like this, we're seeing a very distinct line where they enter turn 1 and 2 low, and then they let the car ride out to the top end of the racetrack, and will make that they go low into 3, and then they run the outside line around 1 and 2. But what's shocking to me is that the way that they're running this racetrack, it doesn't leave the door open much to make any passes. They just have to ride around and try to see if they can find a way to do it, and that usually means forcing an error on the guard in front of you, because we've seen Freeman catch up to Wesley, but he's not been able to pass him, trying to make the inside line work. I say that, he actually had to go up the inside, almost try to make or force the issue, but we also saw Trapper get a piece of the inside tire barrier that kind of is acting
Caution.
as...
They've got a caution. I think it might have been Bobby Puckett in the 40.
That's got a significant right side damage on the 40 machine as well, as he's taking it behind the wall.
See what happened. Bobby Puckett has been dealing with the ill effects of the damage he got from the earlier caution, and it might have been himself and Brian Rubel getting together again. Oh, nope, actually, it was just Bobby Puckett in a disagreement with the outside wall. I think this was over in 3 and 4.
I think he's gone for a bit of an adventure off the turn 3 barricade.
Wow.
He
no
climbs.
fence there to be able to catch that car. So yeah, right up there on that barricade. Rode it over to pit road exit.
It's a bit of landscaping. That's what he was doing.
Brings the car down pit road. He'll try and get some of the damage repaired on that machine. And oh, actually, just noticed something here. Now, mention the fact that during the course of the season, these drivers have not had fast repairs available to them, but I actually just looked and do have a fast repair here tonight.
Maybe it's because it's a double points event they want to... Well, it's a double length race, essentially.
So So we do have drivers that have already used their faster pair up to this point now, including Bobby Puckett, Brian Rubel, and Ethan Fisher. So that's something for us to keep an eye on during the course of this one. We're already a third of the way through this race. You talked about just how short this track is. It's proven it right now. Yes, granted, we've had some nice long green flag runs, but it doesn't take long for them to get around, and that's a big stack up. And we've got a couple of flipping machines possibly back there.
And
a couple of possibilities, but I don't think anybody actually did flip over.
the caution did not come out for any of that.
How is there no caution? There were like 3 or 4 cars that were facing the wrong direction back there. No yellow flag, and that just split everything up.
Wesley Freeman, Puckett was not involved. He's back there, although I think that Lucarelli was also involved with it. Brian Rubel was involved. Lupe Gonzalez might have gotten a little bit of a piece of it as well, and that was a stack up. I think they were 4 wide for third place coming out of turn 2, and there's just not enough room for that to work at this racetrack.
Jason Freeman was also involved in that. He drops back to 7th. Wesley drops back to the 5th spot. That is a tough break for those guys, especially with the fact no caution comes out to save them. And there you see Lupe Gonzalez. I'm pretty sure he was facing the complete opposite direction. Caught the thing where he fired, but you can see just how much time he lost because he's nearly now on the same straightaway as the race leader, Bobby Trapper.
The Trapper quickly approaching the 35 to try and put him a lap down, which is something that we haven't often seen in this series. The races don't often last long enough unless you have some significant damage on your car that you don't very rarely go a lap down. In fact, if this was a regular race, this would be the final lap. We've still got plenty of racing left to go as Trapper comes through, completes lap 35. We are officially in uncharted territory this season. These drivers, this is the longest race that they've have to run this season, but again, double points on the line, double the racing, you gotta work for it.
It's really interesting the fact that it's a 75 lapper for the midway portion of the season. Not even the season opener or the season finales run that long. They run longer than the 35 laps, they run 50 laps, but yeah, to your point, the longest race on the season, which it kind of says to me that a lot more emphasis is put on this race than people might actually realize.
Well, I say longer in the sense that there's more laps. The laps are so fast here that it really isn't going to be the longest time-wise on the season. I think so far that might go to Williams Grove as being the longest one. It's either that one or Lima Land. I'm struggling to remember. The one that was the where the barricades were super close to the racetrack and it was essentially a mile long. That race did travel on for quite a bit of time, even though it was only a 35 lap event, but certainly the amount of laps here are increased, and it does set up nicely for the second half of the season though, because we go to Bristol for our next race, an extremely famous half mile, and I think there's not a single person on the planet that doesn't know what the Bristol Motor Speedway is, especially if you live in the US. And then you have Lanier, Kokomo, USA International, Knoxville, Weedsport, and then the dirt track at Charlotte to close out the season. So this second half of the season is going to be pretty fun to watch.
Bobby Trapper going to be under fire here from James Boniface for the top position. Boniface looking for 3 in a row.
Whoa!
Ooh, Trapper in the wall. Boniface had to lift there to make sure he didn't run into the back of Trapper, and he will clear for the race lead. So a bit of a mistake there by Bobby Trapper. I'm just going to bring up that, incredibly enough, the laps we saw Bobby Trapper lead here tonight are the first laps that he has led in his career at Cedar Lake. He had a top 5 here 1 year ago, but did not lead any laps in that main event.
And it's all come crashing down.
Oh,
almost.
we got a caution.
The 41, the three of Canonzaro. No, I'm not really sure.
Seeing Lupe Gonzalez now grade off of my telemetry. I'm wondering if it might have possibly been him.
Maybe Rubel?
Yeah, maybe the 4. Maybe the 40. See if we can figure out who it was.
Which car? I don't think anyone spun.
No, I'm not seeing anybody spun out on my end either.
This might be a delayed effect from the previous incident where we saw a stack up.
This is potentially an admin thrown caution.
I believe that they might have gone to the officiating table and discussed having a yellow be thrown out because it seemed awful strange that you have a 4 or 5 car incident and a yellow not be called out. So they might have gone and reevaluated the previous decision to not throw a yellow.
And we can confirm it was indeed an admin thrown yellow here. So caution out for the third time here tonight, but only 2 cautions have come out for on-track incidents. Theoretically, if we want to speculate that this is coming out for what we saw in the stack-up, we could count this as the 3rd caution for on-track incidents, but that'd be James Boniface, who had just taken the lead alongside of Bobby Trapper here for this upcoming restart. Cannizzaro in 3rd. No surprise that the top 3 in points are running 1, 2, 3 right now.
There's a reason why they're running that high in the point standings. They've been consistent so far this season, and we're seeing that consistency head into this race as well as the top 3 continue to battle. Right now, it's Boniface up front. Trapper, we were talking about how you were going to have force a mistake on the leader to get around him, and Bobby Trapper forced that on himself as he got the outside wall the last time around, or a few times around rather, and he lost the lead to Boniface. Now behind him, you've got John Cannizzaro, who's made his way up to the fight for the lead of the race, and throw Grant Wesley into the mix after he's recovered from that earlier shenanigan.
Yeah, you got to think that this caution is going to be a big break for the 88 and the 12. Jason Freeman, both those drivers were up there inside of the top 5 and lost a ton of track position with that stack up on the restart. Wesley up in the 4th spot, and Freeman just trying to get by Tony Lucarelli. Move back up in the top 5, and he gets taken 3 wide with Ethan Fisher on the top and Brian Rubel on the bottom. Jason Freeman kind of wadded back and driving. Oh, we got a car up and into the wall. I think it's flipping. That was Bobby Trapper in the 69.
And he has gotten going the right direction again. I don't think that car ever went fully over, although it did have a bit of a wild ride, but that is bad news if you are Bobby Trapper.
Wow, let's see what happened. I saw 3 cars wadded up there up against the outside wall. This was heading into turn 3. Oh, and Trapper just got up and into the wall again. Oh, I thought that maybe someone forced him up into the wall, but no, he ended up getting the right sides, hooking that outside wall. Never was able to get off of it. We've seen that with a number of drivers here tonight, and then nowhere for Jason Freeman or Ethan Fisher to be able to go.
This is the 2nd time that we've seen Trapper go way too high on the racetrack and make contact with the outside wall. There might be something ill handling on his race car, or the track conditions have changed so significantly that they're entering the turns as if they would a few laps ago, but because the grip isn't there, they're not able to get the power in, and they just slide up the racetrack, and the unfortunate bystanders involved there as well. But this is bad news if you're Bobby Trapper. Now, I think he's come down the pit lane and have taken a fast repair. However, he will be at the tail end of the field, so starting restart 9th once we get the green flag.
Indeed, we'll be taking a fast repair. It looks like Jason Freeman has also taken a fast repair here under this caution period. 25 laps to go, 2/3 of the way through our main event. James Boniface leads him into turn 1. Cannizzaro and Wesley may have knocked down the wall there in 1 and 2. Whoa, Cannizzaro, hang on to it.
Oh, Trapper almost into the infield. He was right along the infield tire barrier. He was almost in the grass, but is now running around the inside. This is the benefit of having a fresh car. Some of these drivers have not come down and gotten their cars repaired, so you can run the inside line to make the advantage happen. However, he's got a lot of traffic in order to do that, and he has to be careful. He doesn't have a fast repair left, so if he gets any more damage, he'll have to live with it.
Battle on for the lead. Grant Wesley looked to the inside for a moment there on Boniface, couldn't get there, and now Cannizzaro crosses him over. He'll look for the top spot here through 3 and 4. Can he make it work? Actually, correction, that was 1 and 2. Not able to quite be able to find a line right there, and of course for Bobby Trapper, he's got the bonus point for leading laps here tonight, but he's got to work his way back up there because Boniface, Cannizzaro, Wesley, those are his closest competitors in the points, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Caution's out. Brian Rubel.
Rubel is in the infield facing the wrong direction, has gotten reversed, and now will come back out on the racetrack, and it might actually go a lap down as the safety car has passed. I don't know if they'll be able to let him go around. I think they are going to do that, so good news for him. But what caused Brian Rubel to go around?
Contact between himself and Bobby Puckett. I don't know what it is with the 4 and the 40. They found each other quite a bit here tonight, and then maybe a little assistance from Tony Lucarelli in the 41 completes that spin.
And facing the wrong direction, a slow spin it was to the inside, and might have stalled it on the way in trying to find reverse to get out of there, but has gotten back on the racetrack. I wouldn't imagine there'd be too much more damage on that fork machine as we continue to set them back up, and these laps are ticking down very quickly. We're coming in to 20 laps to go, and the rate of speed that we're running at this track and how short the laps are, that's going to go by in no time.
Yeah, the rate of speed is incredible, no doubt about that. I mean, we ended up having, I believe it was 7 cautions in last year's race here at Cedar Lake, and we are 20 laps away from the finish and only working our 5th caution of the day. Let's bear in mind that one of those cautions was admin thrown. So this race is absolutely flying by, which means that these guys, second on back, they've got to work fast to get around James Boniface because they're running out of laps.
On the outside, Cannizzaro goes. He's got Wesley with him. Look at Trapper on the inside line from 9th up into 4th. He's going to try and get 3rd away from Wesley. Side by side, going down the front straightaway. Wesley's got the speed. Look at the inside, though. Ethan Fisher tries to stick it down there.
3 wide for 3rd. Wesley high, wide, and handsome. Fisher on the bottom. Trapper backs out of that battle and now will migrate to the top. Wesley going to keep the 3rd spot. Now he looks ahead at John Cannizzaro, who's trying to find something on the top side against James Boniface for the race lead.
I tell you what, don't count out that 61 just yet. He's showing some speed, and don't count out Bobby Puckett as he's trying to get around the 61. 3 wide for the 5th position. Going into turn 1 again, Boniface pulling away. Cannizzaro right with him though.
Ethan Fisher started on pole and finished 2nd in his heat race. Matter of fact, last week jumped up 4 spots in the standings with a 7th place run at Eldora. So another solid outing for him as he's battling up inside the top 5. Now alongside Bobby Trapper, might have him cleared for 4th by the time they get into the turn.
He can't keep the speed down, I don't think. Does he try to sail it in? He goes to the inside yet again through turn 1. Can he get up in front of the 69? And I think he will. Move the 61 up into 4th place. Battle for the lead as Cannizzaro washes up the racetrack.
Slide job by Cannizzaro, could not complete the pass. Boniface crossed him back over, but you gotta think, Cannizzaro, he's got some idea of how he might be able to get around that 213. He's just gotta keep the momentum up. You know though, if he tries it again, Boniface gonna be right there with the crossover once more, and Trapper's wadded up there on the top side. He wanted to go 3 wide with Grant. Wesley, didn't have a lane.
I think that was Cannizzaro that went off the racetrack. Caution's out.
You are correct. John Cannizzaro. That car came to a stop up at the pit road exit off of turn 2. Yellow flag out. Another points contender with a loss of track position.
And this is a similar incident that we saw earlier where they wall ride up the track and go over it and then stick it into the pit lane exit. Yellow flag has come out, but this is bad news for John Cannizzaro as he'll have to restart in the 9th place, and I don't know. He does have a fast repair available, so he can get the car repaired, but with the amount of laps left, this is going to be critical for the 3.
Definitely is. Cannizzaro trying to reel in Bobby Trapper for the points lead. Came into this race 27 points back. Certainly doable here tonight to be able to take the points lead, but with Trapper now up in the 4th position and Cannizzaro all the way back in 9th, that might be a bit of a tall ask with the limited number of laps we're going to have left. We're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 laps to go, and Cannizzaro did not take on a fast repair here, surprisingly.
Might think that the damage might be manageable enough to not risk losing the track. Well, you're not going to lose any track position. I don't know why. It's kind of puzzling to me. He wasn't going to lose a lap, but here we go. We're going to set them up. Look at Boniface and Wesley leaning on each other. Green flags back in the air. Wesley, it's a horrible restart. He's going to fall back 3 positions. Look at Ethan Fisher on the inside line, battle for the lead.
He's going to try and take it here into 3. Can't get the power down. Now he's got Bobby Trapper to driver's right. Trapper looking to move into 2nd place, gunning back for the lead that he lost not too long ago.
He goes up the racetrack, almost gets contact with the outside wall. It's going to allow Fisher to slide into line. Boniface tries to go to the inside line now. Trapper is now under fire from Bobby Puckett, who's making some headway late in the race.
Nice comeback run there for Bobby Puckett after being involved in one of the early cautions. And one thing I'm noticing, a lot more drivers migrating down to the bottom. Nobody seems to be able to find any grip anymore up on that top line. The options starting to wane thin for guys that are not up in the race lead.
Oh, we've got a car.
Freeman.
Never mind Freeman, you're right. Freeman's still riding up.
Again. No caution. And Bobby Trapper, he was battling with Ethan Fisher for second place. All of a sudden, he's falling back into the clutches of Bobby Puckett. Ethan Fisher might be the guy to take it to Boniface here for the race win.
If he can get up and challenge for the lead, I think he might. But the thing is that James Boniface has been able to find the magic line, and he's actually opening up a gap back to Ethan Fisher. And that being said, also, Fisher's opening up a gap to Trapper. I say that. Trapper gets a whale of a run through there, and I think Ethan Fisher washed up the racetrack.
A little bit of a block on there, probably unintentional, as he was trying to gather that race car up off the corner, as you alluded to. That wide.
Whoa!
Oh, he's going to knock down the wall again as Bobby Trapper. 3 and 4, actually, 1 and 2, have not been his friend here tonight.
Bobby Puckett will move through to get third place. Here comes Wesley on the inside line to try and challenge to get around Trapper as well. Trapper throws it in. Almost some contact. There's been contact between him and Puckett going down the front of the back straightaway. Contact again, and they're both in the wall. Open over goes Bobby Puckett, and the caution will come out.
The Bobbies come together in what was a battle for the 4th position. Caution's going to fly. And this means that we are going to have ourselves a 2-lap shootout. Again, remember, the caution laps don't count. 73 laps were completed just there with the yellow flag waving. Oh boy.
This is going to be the restart of the ages for some of these drivers. We've seen just how poorly that it can go wrong, because Grant Wesley lost so many positions at last time by, but if you can stay with the leader, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a send down into turn 1.
Saw there, Trapper and Puckett. I mean, that contact was going on for about 2.5 laps. Finally ended with the 40 going up and over. So those guys, they were leaning on each other for a good portion of that latter half of the run. And finally, the final blow, if you will, finds the 40 car up and on his lid and barrel rolling over in 3 and 4. So the caution out. Restart will be a green-white checkered, a 2-lap shootout. James Boniface going to be the leader. Fisher second. Third place looks like it's going to be Grant Wesley. Fourth place will be Brian Rubel. Sorry, I was waiting for my telemetry to update. And John Canonzaro will now be up to 5th. Bobby Trapper hit with the EOL for that incident. He'll be all the way back in 9th. That's not a lot of time there to be able to try and mount a comeback for him. Here we go. Green-white checkered, 2 to go, and Boniface is gone.
Boniface didn't have much of a challenge. A single file restart going down the back straightaway. A lap and a half to go. Grant Wesley in the inside of Fisher will battle for second place as Canonzaro washes way up the racetrack. White flag in the air. James Boniface takes it. Who gets second place?
Boniface looking for his 3rd win in a row. 4th on the season and looking to eat into the points lead. Bobby Trapper's been able to grow in the first half of the season. Checkered flag in the air for Boniface. Close for second. Give it to Fisher by thousandths, 77 1,000ths. Wesley will get the final podium spot, as I saw someone flying over the wall there over in turn 1.
What an amazing finish for James Boniface. He knew he needed to have a great run. 3 wins in a row. And if I'm not mistaken, with the way that Bobby Trapper finished tonight, I think that James Boniface might have cut in enough to get up. If not close enough, he might have been able to take the points lead.
I'm trying to look real quickly here. Just based off of rough calculations, bonus points not included. James Boniface with the win tonight will receive 50 points. Bobby Trapper officially crosses the line in 8th. That would be 33 points. So that is 17 points that Boniface would have gained here tonight. Double that. That is 34 points. And he came into this evening's race 55 points back. Of course, we got to add in the bonus points from the main event, the bonus points from the heat races, but if not taking the points lead, you're absolutely right. It is going to be super close between these two. And even throw John Cananzaro with the fourth place run here tonight. Those three, they are going to be in very close proximity to each other when we get to the world's fastest half mile next week.
You can throw Grant Wesley into that mix as well with a third
Yeah.
place finish tonight. He's going to make up some headway as well. So the top four in the standings might be leaning on each other from points going into Bristol.
Here's a look at the finishing results from this evening's race. And there's a couple of comeback runs in this mix as well. Grant Wesley was involved in that restart stack up and was able, with a aid of a couple of cautions, to fight his way back up to third. Great run here tonight for Ethan Fisher. I mean, I think this was maybe the strongest we've seen him all season long. Had a great run in his heat. Got himself up there into the top three in the closing stages, held off Wesley for the runner-up spot. You've got John Cananzaro, who, of course, was involved in that incident over in 1 and 2 that put him way back in the field with a limited number of laps left. He's going to battle back for fourth. Brian Rubel, we saw him down the infield, spun out. He finishes inside the top 5 and 5th. That's Jason Freeman, Bobby Puckett, Bobby Trapper, and Tony Lucarelli that made it around to take the checkered flag. Lupe Gonzalez will get credited for the 10th position. He was the only car to finish behind the wall, but we talked about the fact that, 75 laps is the midway portion of the season. Double points on the line. A lot of emphasis on this race, and I think just based off of the finishing results here tonight and the outlook we have heading into the second half of the season, I think we know why.
Absolutely. Everyone was eyeing this as a momentum shift going into the second half, and we have a couple of drivers that might have already hit that momentum shift, those being Boniface and Wesley specifically. Canizaro also throw in the mix. Someone that would rather this race not have happened was Bobby Trapper, as he had a lot of hardships in tonight's race. Couldn't find his way off the outside wall through 1 and 2. And not only that, but had to EOL late in the race. We'll get an 8th place finish, but we definitely know who our contenders are heading into the second half of the season. It will be those aforementioned four of Trapper, Canizaro, Boniface, and Wesley. I think that these remaining races, we're going to see them gunning it out for the championship. And that championship is quickly approaching. We only have about a month or so left of racing left to go for these drivers. So have to eagerly wait and see how these drivers can approach the second half, because we got Bristol first, and that race will definitely set up who is the best from the rest.
Bristol, Lanier, Kokomo, USA International. I mean, we've kind of had a preface of what these races can bring to the table in last year's season of the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. So, we've got a little bit of paperwork to be able to kind of gauge what type of racing to expect, but I think here tonight kind of proved to us take nothing for granted. Let's see if we can talk with some of the top three finishers here tonight. One of those guys you mentioned that is going to be in the thick of that championship battle down the home stretch. Let's talk with third place finisher Grant Wesley. Hey Grant, Anthony is set up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, what a crazy one here tonight at Cedar Lake. We ended up seeing some really long green flag runs here, some great racing side by side, 3 wide racing that was all being held together. Maybe a little bit of contact along the way, but a bit of a comeback run for you here in the second half. We saw you caught up in that stack up on the restart, coming to our second restart of the evening. I mean, first off, what happened from your perspective there? Because we were trying to follow the action of what was going on the racetrack. Didn't have time to really jump back for a replay, but we know that yourself and a couple of others up inside the top 5 lost a ton of track position.
Yeah, that's well, the first part of the race, me and Trapper, I know we had a breakaway there, and um, and life was great, out there. It was just us, and then we had that caution, and I seen that there's some guys coming before the caution came, so I knew that they were fast, and that restart just provided a good opportunity for people to try to make up some ground there in 1 and 2, and I think we just got 3 wide. I was on the outside, and honestly, I didn't even see the car that hit me, to be honest with you, so I don't know what was going on the inside of me. But yeah, I just kind of shot my car straight up in the air, and it was just like riding a bull from there. But but yeah, and then the track got super slick, and it was got really thin up top, and it was kind of anybody's race there at the end.
We saw that the field kind of spread out a little bit until a late race caution came out between two of the front runners, and that kind of opened the door for a lot of drivers behind to make up positions. And you were one of the beneficiaries of that. But we saw one of the telling stories of the race is that the track conditions changed so dramatically throughout the race that you could make the inside line work early on, and then midway through the race, it didn't seem like it worked at all. And then by the end of the race, everyone was trying to get out of the outside line to try to get to the low side because we saw a lot of drivers actually sliding up the racetrack and making contact with the outside walls. So, just from your perspective, how drastic were the changes tonight?
Yeah, so the slider line through 3 and 4 was working great at the start of the main, and then as the track slicked off, I think it went topside there for a little while, and then there at the end, it was just I think it was back on the bottom. Their last 5-10 laps. I know there with like 20 to go, I had a horrible restart. I made it back up to second, and I just lit the tires up. But that's just a testament to how slick the track was getting.
Got a question for you out of personal curiosity, Grant, just based off of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Here tonight in your heat race, everybody was on the bottom. You were up there on the top side, and you actually did this 1 week ago as well in your heat race at Eldora. Is there a method to the madness there? Are you trying to see what that top side has early on to maybe apply that in the main event, or is it where you're more comfortable? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's just whenever you start behind some people, it's easier to get around them if you're not running the same line as them. So basically, that's just kind of searching around, seeing where the grip's at. I know that at least tonight, for the heat race, we were right on the brink of 1 and 2 coming in, and there's a couple times I made a good run off of two, but I think it was because the guy underneath me kind of screwed up the corner a little bit. But yeah, the bottom was definitely faster.
So obviously, first half of the season, setting up for coming into tonight, the midway portion, get those double points, and now focus on when we get to the dirt track at Charlotte with the championship on the line. I mean, coming into tonight and leaving here tonight, it's looking like it's coming down between you, Boniface, Cannonzaro, Trapper for this championship. Now, with the limited number of races left until we get to that season finale, what's the main focus?
Just keep doing what I've been doing. I'm flattered that my name's even in that conversation. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm just gonna keep getting top threes. I got second last week and followed it up with a third, and then had an average finish of fourth before that. So I'd like to definitely nail the rest of the races with top threes, and I'd love to get a couple wins.
We'll see if he'll be able to do it here as we now head into the second half of the schedule. Grant, great run for you here tonight. Congratulations. We're now going to turn the mic over to you for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, thanks to you guys putting the broadcast on. You guys are awesome as always. Um, I'd like to thank Master Millwright for sponsoring the series, and thank the admins here for the hard work they do. I'd like to thank my teammates at Extreme Force Motorsports, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
That's Grant Wesley, P3 here tonight at the Cedar Lake Speedway. Congratulations once again, and best of luck now here down the home stretch.
Thank you.
See if we can get Ethan Fisher his best finish of the season here tonight, and it's a runner-up. Hey Ethan, Anthony and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us? We'll see if we can try it again. Ethan, it's the guys up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, I mean, your car looked really good last week. You piloted it home to a 7th place at Eldora, but here tonight, man, that car was fast no matter what type of race you were in. You were fast in your heat race, started on pole, finished second, and here tonight, holding off Wesley to get that 2nd place finish. Did you have anything for the 213 there on that final restart, though? Because single file restart and you had him right out your windshield.
Yeah, I kind of blew the restart, spun my tires a little bit, but he was fast anyway. I don't know if I could have got him.
You certainly had a go at it, though. We saw in your heat race that you did well. I started on pole in your heat race and then finished 2nd place, and you carried that momentum over into this event. It was kind of chaotic throughout the entire race. How did you manage the traffic? And we saw that you were one of the only ones that dared try the inside line throughout pretty much the entire race. So, what was your thoughts on how the track conditions were?
Uh, The outside got really rough in 1 and 2 toward the end of the race. I didn't want to go up there and chance that. I saw it took out a couple other guys. So I was trying to roll the middle, and it was working all right for me. But early in the race, I was in a couple different crashes. I had to use my fast repair. It wasn't too bad coming back up through, though.
We documented the fact that, through most of the season, you drivers don't have the fast repair to fall back on. You did have the fast repair here tonight. Does that kind of change the mentality of how aggressive you race from the start, knowing that you have that mulligan in your hip pocket?
I don't think so, just because this was such a long race. I think if you gave guys a fast repair and a 35 lapper, it might get a little crazy, but this didn't seem too different.
Ethan, a great performance for you here tonight. Best finish on the season as well. Second place here under the lights at Cedar Lake. Congratulations. We're now going to give the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout outs.
I want to shout out my dad and my girlfriend Tabitha. They're watching, and a shout out to the Drop Shot Call of Duty podcast, and also to my cousin Dave Rosa. This is his paint scheme from the early 90s.
Well, that's Ethan Fisher, runner up here tonight in that throwback scheme here at the Cedar Lake Speedway. Congratulations on a great performance there, Ethan. Best of luck next week as we begin the second half of the schedule at Bristol.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go down to Victory Lane. This guy's becoming a very familiar face down there. Third straight week that James Boniface is in Victory Lane tonight. It's at Cedar Lake. Hey, James, Anthony and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Oh my goodness. Talk about being on fire. 4 victories in the last 5 races, 3 in a row. Definitely making yourself a contender for this championship down the home stretch, but wasn't all that easy getting that race lead. We ended up seeing you running around second or third for the first half of this thing. Then finally, once you got that car out, and I'll put this in air quotes, clean air, just seemed like nobody was able to get to you.
Yeah, I was a little nervous coming from the back. I think I started in last, and I was just sitting mid-pack. I couldn't make up time, and I didn't know what was going on. So I just had to, I guess, change up my driving style a little bit and focus on some new lines, and a couple cautions helped me, and it worked out.
Well, definitely seems like the roulette wheel of this racetrack was kind of in also some beneficiaries, as well as there was a lot of drivers in front and behind that seemed to pinball off of each other and was able to get your way through. Now, that being said, you did do a master class on how to get around other traffic as well throughout this racetrack. But how was it from your POV, seeing that all the chaos happening around you and you were able to pinpoint exactly where you needed to be, or did you just kind of feel like you got lucky a little bit tonight?
Luck definitely plays a part into it a little bit, but I knew I had to keep my car clean. 75 laps is a lot of laps, so you just got to be a little bit patient. And I was running through the top in 1 and 2, and I saw a trapper hitting it a little bit, and it was starting to get a little sketchy, so I knew I had to get away from that thing. And that's when I started running like a mid to low line.
I mean, obviously, we know that Cedar Lake is a challenging racetrack, hence why it was put in this position on the schedule with the double points midway portion of the season. Watching a number of drivers approach into the corners, it would seem like drivers would enter low, let it slide up to the top side, and then kind of diamond the corner back to the inside on corner exit. Just how much more difficult is it as a dirt racer to try and make a pass when drivers are running a line like that? Because it just kind of seems like whatever lane you might want on entry, it's not there then when you get off of exit.
Yeah, that slider line's big in 3 and 4 for most of the race, but then it kind of went away, and then Cannizzaro was all over me. I was getting a little nervous. He was picking up speed. I was on the defense a little bit, but again, 1 and 2 claimed him. So then I just tried to keep momentum up and just keep my tires stuck to the surface.
Obviously, we got to talk about it here. 4 wins on the season. You did miss that one start, but despite missing that one race, you now are going to be heading into the second half of the schedule, 38 points behind Bobby Trapper, only 19 points behind John Cannizzaro. Obviously, the momentum's on your side, so, I mean, what's the confidence level? What's the goals now heading into the final races on the season?
Confidence is high right now. I just got to keep the ball rolling. I needed this night to work out to make it even close. So I'm thankful, and I definitely think I had a little luck on my side tonight.
The luck gets you your 4th win on the season. Congratulations once again, James. And now we're going to hand the mic over to you for some victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank Swan Speed Shop. I've been running their sets this season so far, and they have been producing very well. And I want to thank Drew Blaze Designs for making my wrap, and a couple Bud Lights to keep me steady.
Well, that is James Boniface. He is your winner here tonight at the Cedar Lake Speedway. His 4th win on the season. He'll look to ride that momentum into the second half of the season, try and make it a battle for that championship when we eventually get to the dirt track at Charlotte. Congratulations once again, James. Go enjoy that win, and looking forward to seeing you next week. See what you can do at Bristol.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
That's going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from the Cedar Lake Speedway. The point standings are in here, so this is basically what it looks like here, Anthony, heading down the home stretch in the final races on the schedule. Trapper, your points leader, 19 points back is where you find John Canonzaro. James Boniface, tonight's winner, 38 points back in 3rd. Grant Wesley sits 63 points back in the 4th position. Jason Freeman right now is in the 5th position in points, 77 points back. Obviously, for Wesley and Freeman, they may need a little bit of luck of those top 3 running into some bad luck and try and capitalize that way, since there is only a limited number of races left on the schedule, and we know that Canonzaro, as well as Boniface and Trapper, they're pretty good at consistency.
Absolutely. We've seen them all throughout the first half of the season have that consistency, and now I doubt that they won't carry it into the second half of the season, so we'll have to be on that. But we also got some drivers that have been showing some speed late in the second half as well. You obviously tonight Ethan Fisher showed that he has some speed, so he might be a reoccurring top 3 English is not my first language. A top 3 resident for a while, and some of these other drivers that have had good runs that just haven't been able to put one together yet, such as Brian Rubel. He's been running in the top 5 pretty consistently the first half of the season. We should see him running up in the top 5 as well going in. So a lot of drivers going into the second half are going to carry that momentum in, but you have the mainstays, the top 3 in the standings. They will be the ones that we'll be all looking out for the second half. But you never know. Some of these tracks might favor some other drivers, and some of them might throw some, some interesting little storylines that we saw, something similar to what we saw tonight.
Yeah, and the thing that I love too is you look at the races we've got coming up here for the remainder of the schedule. You got Lanier, Kokomo, USA International, Knoxville, Wheatsport. Of course, you got the season finale at Charlotte, and we kick things off next week when we head to the world's fastest half mile, covered in dirt, that is, Bristol Motor Speedway. None of these tracks are tracks that we ran during the first half of the schedule. Nobody's kind of got some notes here from the past couple of races to be able to lean back on. Now, granted, a number of these drivers took part in races at these venues last season, but as we see, season after season, the new faces come in, the landscape of the racing completely changes.
Absolutely, and I don't doubt that it's going to change any more throughout the entirety of the second half of the season either, even with the different track schedules that we have lined up. And I want to point something out. I don't know if it was this way last season or not, but all the tracks that we've gone to this season have been different circuits. We're not going to any of these tracks a second time, so whatever you have going into that track, that's the only time you get to use it as far as strategy wise goes, as far as experience goes. So can't carry momentum from track to track as well as you could if you went to them multiple times. Although some of these tracks are pretty similar in nature. This one pretty similar to tracks such as Fairbury. So that being said, every one of these tracks has a little bit thing different about them that some of these drivers coming into the series that we might see, they might have the advantage knowing that they might have had more practice there, or they just might surprise us.
We know that whether it's covered in dirt or covered in asphalt, Bristol Motor Speedway is always going to play its part into the race winner and maybe even into what the point stands are going to look like when you head in and when you leave. And that is the next venue for these drivers next Tuesday night. Just the big blocks here tonight. The stadium trucks are off this week. They will be continuing on their schedule next week at the Charlotte Roval. That will be immediately following the Bristol race for the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series next week on October 5th. But That's going to conclude our coverage here tonight. Anthony, it's been an exciting one here this evening. We're officially halfway through the schedule, and we're starting to get a little bit more of a general picture of who those contenders are for the championship, but still a lot of racing left to go.
Absolutely. Still have a half a season to go, and the points battle a lot closer than it was when we were coming into this race. So I have to watch and see how it goes. And I am excited to kick off the second half of the season, and should be fun.
Absolutely. Thanks to everyone that tuned in tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage. Once again, we'll see you guys next Tuesday night at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the continuation of the season of the TNR Master Millwright Big Block Series. James Boniface, win number 4 on the year, as he is your victor this evening at the Cedar Lake Speedway. For Anthony McCurry, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.